Hi, my name is Abby Short and welcome to my project It's Hard Being Rubbish. Sustainability and climate change has always been a prevalent issue in my day-to-day life, and I wanted to explore how we as designers can do that ethically, especially in regards to trash and waste. My first design exploration involved me walking around my neighborhood and exploring all the hard rubbish piles that were accumulating around in March, and just collecting what items I thought held potential, and what items could possibly hold narratives. That was the first step to figuring out what items can create value and therefore not be so discarded of. First, I found this drawer without its backing. It's missing pieces. I wrote a story, kind of just thinking about surrealist automatism and just writing whatever was speaking to me from looking at this piece. And this told quite a story and quite a connection to what its purpose was, what connection it had to its owners, and also my assumption of its narrative. Likewise, I found this old telephone in the pile. First of all, I only coloured in the numbers that were most used and most common, and I wrote a list of contacts on the back, which usually would only be a book. It's separate to the phone, but in this case, this exploration shows the connections between object and between people. So amongst the topic of care and caring for trash to give it value, there is also this sense of play, which is really relevant in my explorations. I found this old child's painting, which was just splatters and everything, but really it was going into this childlike mindset of seeing what the child was possibly seeing and creating something out of that. Similarly, I also did an exploration with food scraps and doing a bit of a juxtaposition where people are told not to play with your food, but I play with my food, and I realized there's so much fun in that. I had an experience, I had a great time playing with the food, and once I was done with it, there's still value for other creatures. These banana peels will be given to the worms to enjoy after my time has been used with it. During the Melbourne Design Week, I also visited Root Chave's workshop, where we were learning about sustainability in textiles and how these salvaged yarn pieces can be hacked through the mechanical knitter, and how it can create these magical pieces of textile, and also just spending time with the material and letting the material tell us what can do, and not forcing it what we want it to do. So I made this sample piece of Love Your Trash Today, and with this found textile material, I thought, what not to spend some time with the material and salvage it and turn it into something beautiful, turn it something that I find valuable. There is also framework that comes into giving value to objects. When you think about high fashion, they don't use objects made out of gold all the time. They'll use objects that people don't expect. And with the use of magazine, with the use of positioning, with the use of context, it changes the game entirely. I have this connection to this fan because it reminds me of a hat. I have a connection to this phone because I love talking to my friends and family. And this just creates this world of trashy fashion that can be turned into a commodity, and it can be turned into something valuable. Following my collection process, I also collected some items found at the train station, and I was thinking about framework and kind of contradictions that come with these objects. I had a cigarette bud, a silica bag, some gum, and just these objects. I placed them onto a plate and kind of showed that contradiction where if we can't eat it, can the earth eat it? And this kind of brings up this kind of activism and taking a more political stance in the aspect of my work instead of just holistic kind of connections. This also makes companies accountable, not just for the individual, and taking on this activism role of installing these posters around bins in the CBD. It shows a lot of potential and a lot of power in that soft activism. Although I didn't leave them there because I was concerned about the city of Melbourne and about getting fined, it was still a great experiment to see where this could lead further. With these combined philosophies of care, narratives, curiosity, salvaging, context play, and even activism, I hope this is able to be further explored spatially and on a larger scale to figure out how trash can be interpreted to design and how this can be done ethically